Guess what time it is? Mama's story time. Yay! Well, hello, my darlings. Welcome to story time outside. I thought I'd bring you outside into my fairy garden. We can have our story out here. Is that a good idea? Today's story is Winnie the Pooh. Let's get started. One morning, Winnie the Pooh woke up to discover his tummy was complaining very loudly. He knew the only way to quiet it was to fill it with lots of delicious honey. Unfortunately though, every honey pot he looked in was empty. Pooh wasn't worried. He was certain a walk in the Hundred-Acre Wood would turn up some honey in no time. On his journey, Pooh passed by his friend Eeyore's house. "I can't help noticing," said Pooh, "that you seem slightly gloomier than usual." "Eeyore," said Pooh as he circled around him, "what has happened to your tail?" "What do you mean, what has happened to it?" Eeyore wondered. "Well, it isn't there," Pooh told him. "That explains everything," said Eeyore sadly. Eeyore's friends decided to hold a contest to find the donkey a new tail. The prize would be a lovely pot of golden honey. Pooh gave Eeyore a cuckoo clock, hoping it would be the winning tail, but Eeyore accidentally broke it. Oh dear. The friends tried a great many more things for Eeyore's tail, and a great many more things after that, but none of them worked. "It's okay," said Eeyore sadly. "I'll learn to live without it." A little while later, Pooh stopped by Christopher Robin's house looking for honey. Instead, he found a note. Pooh brought it to Owl. "It says," began Owl, "Gone out, busy Baxen. Our dear friend Christopher Robin has been captured by a creature called the Baxen. It's malicious, ferocious, and worst of all, terribly busy." Owl added that Baxen scribbled in library books, stopped clocks, and put holes in socks. The more the friends learned, the more terrified they became. But then Rabbit came up with a clever plan. They would collect things that the Baxen liked and leave a trail of them to lure him into a pit. Then the Baxen would be trapped and they could get Christopher Robin back. While their friends went to gather the items that were needed, Pooh and Piglet got straight to work on the pit. Piglet disguised the trap as a lovely picnic, complete with a honey pot. "Well, it certainly fooled me in my tummy," admitted Pooh. Tigger, meanwhile, had decided to track the Baxen on his own. He was surprised to come upon Eeyore, who had somehow gotten left behind by the others. "You and me are going to catch that Baxen together," Tigger promised. "We just need to get you Tiggerized." Tigger started with the easy part, giving Eeyore stripes. Teaching him to bounce was another matter. The donkey bounced up and down, and finally just up. Oh dear, he's stuck in the tree. Eventually the friends ended up in Rabbit's garden. Tigger dressed up as the Baxen and tried to show Eeyore how to bounce the monster. The poor donkey ricocheted all over the place before landing in the woods beyond. He hoped Tigger wouldn't find him. Being a Tigger was exhausting. In another part of the wood, Pooh, Piglet and the rest of the friends were laying the trail of items. Rumble, rumble, went Pooh's tummy, unhappy that honey had yet to come his way that day. Pooh did his best to ignore it. Then something very strange happened. I wonder what that is. Don't know. Pooh's shadow stopped looking like a Pooh Bear and started looking like a honey pot. Next, the flowers and trees and even the ground beneath Pooh's feet melted into a giant wave of honey. He rode the wave to a honey beach where he swam beneath a honey ocean. Pooh was so blissfully happy that he sang a honey song and he danced a honey dance. Life was sweet. Poof! Pooh's beautiful daydream suddenly disappeared. His honey ocean was really a muddy puddle. Pooh cleaned himself off and went on his way. After a few steps, he came upon a picnic, complete with a honey pot. Pooh ran to the pot and immediately fell into the pit that he and Piglet had dug earlier that day. Silly Pooh. The honey pot wedged itself tightly on his head. Unfortunately for Pooh and his tummy, it was empty. Meanwhile, Pooh's friends had arrived back at the pit and were looking everywhere for him. Then, all at once, they heard a loud thud. "The plan worked!" Rabbit exclaimed. "We caught the Baxen!" The friends clung to each other in fear. "All right, Baxen," said Rabbit as the group peered into the pit. "Give us Christopher Robin back." "Oh, bother," said Pooh, bumping into the walls. "Pooh, is that you?" asked Rabbit. "How are we ever going to get him out of there?" wondered Roo. Just then, Eeyore arrived wearing an anchor for his latest tail. Rabbit instructed his friends to throw the anchor into the pit so Pooh could use it to climb out. "Whoa!" the friends cried. The heavy anchor yanked them all down into the hole and knocked the honey pot off Pooh's head. Now they were all stuck. Only Piglet, who had been tossed high into the air, remained up on the ground. Now it was up to Piglet to save everyone. Roo remembered that Christopher Robin owned a skipping rope. The friends urged Piglet to go to the boys' house and get it. A terrified Piglet made his way uncertainly through the wood until he saw a red-eyed monster glaring down at him. The little fellow ran and hid. Then the fog cleared and Piglet realised the monster was only a balloon stuck in the tree. Piglet tugged and tugged, trying to free his friend the balloon. Suddenly, an enormous shadow fell over him. What could it be? Piglet turned to face the monster. "Baxen!" he shouted. He held on tight to Balloon and ran off. But there was no Baxen. It was only Tigger dressed in his Baxen disguise. Now Tigger thought the Baxen was right behind him and he ran after his friend for help. "Piglet!" he cried. "He knows my name!" shrieked Piglet. "Help! Help!" Balloon lifted Piglet up and away, but it was a very bumpy ride. Then Piglet spotted the pit in the distance. He thought if he could just reach it and his friends, he would be safe. He had nearly made it when Tigger crashed into him. Down into the pit they both tumbled, along with an entire paragraph of letters. Look at all those letters, W, T, G, S. When the dust settled, everyone in the pit was relieved to see that the newcomers were their friends and not the Baxen. Just then, Balloon floated up and out of Piglet's grasp. "Wait, Balloon!" called Rabbit. "Don't leave! You have to help get us out of here!" Piglet cried. Owl was happy to be stuck a little while longer. Since his friends couldn't go anywhere, they would have to listen to him tell a very, very long story about his uncle. As Owl talked, a hungry Pooh looked up. He saw the honey pot from Tigger's foot sitting on the edge of the pit, and that's when he decided to use the ladder of letters to climb out. Oh, that's pretty clever. Unfortunately for Pooh, that honey pot was empty too. Fortunately for his friends, there was a way out of the pit. Soon they were all back above ground where Christopher Robin, led by Balloon, joined them. "How did you escape from the Baxen?" wondered Rabbit. What on earth is a baxen? Asked Christopher Robin. Oh, the most wretched creature you could meet, Owl said solemnly. And what gave you the idea that I was taken by a baxen? Replied Christopher Robin. Pooh handed him the note. Christopher Robin explained that he had written that he would be back soon, not baxen. Now that the misunderstanding had been cleared up, Rabbit had an announcement to make. We owe a very special someone a token of our appreciation, he said. This reward goes to a good friend who helped us to find Christopher Robin. So I bestow this pot of honey on Balloon. Oh bother, said Pooh miserably. The friends went on their way. For Pooh, that meant continuing to search for the honey he and his tummy so desperately wanted. Eventually, he ended up at Owl's front door where he pulled the bell rope. There was something very familiar about it. I found that very handsome bell rope that you were just admiring, just hanging over a thistle bush, Owl said. Nobody seemed to want it, so I brought it home. Then he invited Pooh in for some honey. Pooh suddenly realised that Owl's bell rope was really Eeyore's tail. Now Owl realised it too. Pooh left without eating so much as one drop of honey. Returning Eeyore's tail was far more important. Soon Eeyore's tail was back where it belonged. Seems about the right length. The pink bow's a nice touch. Swish is real good too, the donkey decided. And so Pooh was declared the winner of the tail contest. His friends presented him with the grand prize. It wasn't just a pot of honey, it was an enormous pot of honey. Thank you all ever so much, Pooh said, and he climbed straight into the pot. All his honey dreams had come true. That was a funny one, Winnie the Pooh. Well, my darlings, I'm going to put some videos on for you now. We've been very busy making our fairy garden, so I'm going to put some videos on for you to see. So good. Well, my darlings, did you like those videos? I hope so. Mama liked those videos. Well, I'm going to go inside now because I think it might rain soon. But until I see you again, remember, be good for Mum and Dad, and what? Kind to each other. I love you, my darlings. Bye.